All right. I just want to make a really quick video and explain something here. So, more understanding has come to light for me as far as this calendar issue. Okay. So, we know that there is a 13-day difference between the Gregorian calendar that we're on today and the Julian calendar that was before the Gregorian calendar. We know that once we hit October 6th and 7th on the Gregorian calendar that we all use today, it will actually be September 23rd and 24th on the Julian calendar that was used before 1582. Okay, that was the year that everything started changing from Julian to Gregorian, 1582. Now, what I want to explain to you guys is a few other things. So we know there's a 13-day difference, right? But what actually is this 13 days? Well, 13 days is the difference between the sliver moon that we call the new moon, we all understand as a new moon, the sliver moon, and the full moon. That's what 13 days is. It's the difference between the sliver of the moon, which we've all thought is the new moon, and the full moon. 13 days. Okay, so that's originally what this is. Okay, is the difference between when the sliver of the moon shows and actually the full moon. Okay, so we need to understand that. Now, I'm not saying new moon, I'm saying sliver moon, because it's been brought to my attention that in the Bible, actually the new moon is actually the full moon. And one of the verses for this is Psalm 81, verse 3. And other verses, I believe there's a word used called kasa. So the full moon is actually the beginning of the month, okay? Not the sliver moon. This is something that Judaism has made up. Just like modern Judaism is going off of the Gregorian kind of, well, that's also incorrect. So what's my point here? If we start the months at the full moon, then yes, it's like we're on the Julian calendar, kind of. In other words, the Julian calendar is the one where Feast of Trumpets would be on September 23rd, 24th, and on the Hebrew calendar, it would be called Tishri 1, which is the 7th month and the first day. So again, as you guys have already understood, the 13-day difference between the Gregorian that we're on today and the Julian that we were on before, what that 13 days actually is the distance between a sliver moon and a full moon. And the Bible actually says that the full moon is the beginning of the month. So the full moon is actually the new moon. So, yeah. Feast of Trumpets is still September 23rd and 24th. Tishri 1 on the Hebrew calendar is still September 23rd and 24th as we understand it on the Julian calendar. So all that predictive programming for September 23rd and 24th and some for September 22nd, whatever, right in there. All that predictive programming was actually for the Julian calendar. Imagine that. And it is the Feast of Trumpets on the Julian calendar and the Hebrew calendar, because again, September 23rd, 24th on the Julian, Feast of Trumpets, which is on the Hebrew calendar, first day of the 7th month, Tishri 1. So, it is there on the Gregorian calendar, October 6th and 7th, that we use today usually, it will be tabernacles on the Gregorian calendar. So if you do that 13-day difference and connect them, you're actually at Feast of Trumpets and tabernacles at the same time, if you want to look at it like that. That's very amazing to me. Quite ironic to me, right? And if you look up, like I said, the number 13, I put it on a video already. If you look up the 13th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, it is the mem, the M as we would call it, but the mem. The 13th letter is the mem, and it means water and chaos, the flood. Yes, folks, yes. Will it be a literal flood of water? Well, there will be flooding. It's not going to be a worldwide flood, but that means a lot more in the last days as to other things too as well. A flood of chaos in many ways. And the symbol, now here is the darn amazing thing. Remember how I just said that it will be on the Julian and the Hebrew calendar on September 23rd and 24th, Feast of Trumpets? Well, on the Gregorian calendar, October 6th and 7th, it will be tabernacles at the same time, and there's a 13-day difference. Well, if you look up the symbol for Mem, which is the 13th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, in modern Hebrew, it's a little house, which is for tabernacles, when God tabernacles with man, right? So there's a house, right? They're in the same house. They're in the house of God, tabernacles. That's in modern Hebrew. If you look in ancient Paleo Hebrew, it's waves. It's a wave for water. So you have a house, like the house of God, tabernacling with God, and water and chaos symbol at the same time. Well, because it's symbolic of, the catching away, the Exodus spiritually, tabernacling with God, which is a symbol for Mem today, and also water and chaos, which is water is a symbol for Mem in Paleo Hebrew, ancient Hebrew. You have them coinciding at the same time, and they're hitting at the same time on different calendars. Is that amazing? If there's anything that was amazing, that's amazing to me. And I don't believe that this is by coincidence or accident. I believe that somehow, some way, through their foreknowledge or the secret knowledge or whatever, or God's foreknowledge, that this was all planned just like this. And then the Simpsons episode that I showed, that the video went completely viral, that Simpsons episode where there's a rapture delay, right? Homer calculates the date of the rapture. He convinces everybody. The rapture doesn't come, and then he figures out his miscalculations, and then he tries to convince them again, and they didn't believe him, and he's the only one that goes to heaven. Right? We see that scenario playing out in The Simpsons, exactly kind of what's going on, right? Well, it gets deeper than that in The Simpsons, because in The Simpsons, he actually mentions the number 13. And it's even written on the board where he has all his calculations for the rapture, how there's 333 times 666. Get it? 666. Well, 6 times 6 times 6 is 216. And 9/24, September 24th, 9 times 24 is 216. So there's a connection there with September 24th and what Homer had on his board, 666. But he also had a 13 on the board, symbolic of 13 days, right? So they know, what's going on. And then I posted about the movie 13 Days. That movie 13 Days where it's about the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? And that was in October, right? And the words missile crisis equal 924. Missile crisis equals 924 in English gematria. And then there's also that movie, The Hunt for the Red October. There's some symbolism in there and things that I see in there too as well. And then the movie October Sky, right? Excuse me. In the movie October Sky, the main character is named Homer. And like I said in my video, damn it. Excuse me. Sorry. Like I said in my video, when I thought of that movie October Sky, I thought of October, and then the main character was named Homer, and that led me to the Simpsons episode in my mind where Homer did the miscalculation for the rapture. And the movie October Sky with the main character Homer, he idolizes a rocket scientist called Werner von Braun, which is an ex-Nazi. And Werner von Braun was famous for launching the Sputnik satellite. The Sputnik satellite was launched, guess when? October 4th. So October 4th, then you go back to when they started changing the Julian calendar to the Gregorian. The first thing they did was actually take out 10 days. Okay, so guess where the 10 days were first taken out of originally before it went to 13 days? It was from October 5th to October 14th they took out. So when you went from October 4th, the next day would automatically be October 15th, as if you skipped through time. And then you go to the movie Back to the Future, and the time that the DeLorean skips out of time on the clock tower is what? 10:04, October 4th. You see? So again, we're right there in the sweet spot. I'm paying attention to October 4th. I'm paying attention to October 6th and 7th, which, again, October 6th and 7th, which is the super full moon, the harvest moon, get it, harvest, is actually the Feast of Trumpets on the Julian and the Hebrew calendar. Because the Julian calendar is where the Feast of Trumpets would be on the 23rd and 24th. And that is where the Feast of Trumpets would be on the Hebrew calendar, which is Tishri 1, 7th month, first day, Feast of Trumpets. So, it's this window that we're in a window of time right now where I'm really paying attention. October 4th, October 6th and 7th, and then again, we read about 10 days, like I posted. We read about this 10-day thing in Revelation chapter 2, verse 10. We see the verse 10, right? And it says that you'll have 10 days of tribulation and persecution. Well, a lot of people understand that happened back in the day, but also that could be likened to a 10-day delay here from September 24th to October 4th. But then if you do look at it 13 days, it could be September 24th to October 7th, or September 23rd to October 6th, where the super harvest full moon is, which will be actually the beginning of the new month in the Hebrew calendar, Tishri 1. I hope everybody can keep up with what I'm saying. We are just at a really, really amazing time, really big window here, and these things were not done for no reason. They were definitely done for a reason. And a lot of people look at it like, oh, they're trying to trick everybody. They're trying to trick everybody. Well, the information is out there, and the ones that are supposed to see it are going to probably see it one way or another. But the problem is that they're telling us these things, but not how people are used to being told these things. They're telling us it veiled. I guess you could call it a bit deceptive, right? A bit deceptive, yes. But they are telling us, as where you see these rhymes, these riddles, these mysteries in the movies they put out, in the programs that they put out, and even in the books that they put out, they're there, but they call it, entertainment. They call it fiction. So you find the nonfiction, which is reality, in the stuff they call fiction, which is fantasy. So actually, they put reality in the things that they call fantasy, and they put fantasy in the things that they call reality. And it's not even clear cut like that, because they mix the two sometimes. So sometimes they'll put some reality in fantasy, and sometimes they'll put some fantasy in what they call reality, or whatever. You get it, right? Sometimes they mix the two, or sometimes they just completely separate the two and deceive. So yeah, that is where I'm at. I wanted to explain to you guys where that 13 days actually fits in to something else, which is the time between a sliver moon and a full moon. So if you start the month at a full moon, we have not hit the Feast of Trumpets yet. On the Julian calendar, it will be the 23rd and 24th, 13 days prior to the Gregorian calendar. We all know that. And so anyways, there we go. There we go. Let me take a look here. Yeah, my comments were off the other day because I pushed a button. Actually, that was actually my fault. And the last thing that has nothing to do with that is, about my videos a few days ago that I cussed a few times, quite a bit. Very angry. I wanted to express my anger, how I really felt on the inside. I know that there are some people out there that are judging me for it. And if you want to get technical in the Bible, we're not supposed to do that. I understand that. According to the letter, we're not supposed to have foul language and stuff like that. So, and honestly, I don't really feel bad about it. I don't have a problem with leaving it up. But for the sake of others, probably in the next couple days, I'll take it down. Because when you want to get technical, you're not really supposed to use language like that. It's not. It's not wrong to get upset. It's not wrong to get mad and stuff like this. But you're not supposed to use foul language. So yeah, for the sake of others, I probably will take them down in a day or two. I'll wait till after the rapture. No, I'm just kidding. Um, but not because I feel guilty, not because I feel bad, and I don't regret. Everything that I said in those videos is true, according to me. I truly feel like that. I truly believe those things. However, the cussing is the part that bothers people. So, you know, if you could take the videos and then minus the cussing, I believe everything I said in those videos. I feel everything that I said in those videos. But in the cussing. So yeah, probably the next day or two I'll take them down for the sake of others because it bothers other people and stuff like this. But not because I care, because I don't care less. I mean, it doesn't bother me. Um, I wanted certain people out there to know how I really feel about them, what I really think about them, and what they are really doing is, you know, if I see, I have to think of a word because if I don't use cuss words, then I have to think of another word that expresses my disgust just as much as a cuss word. So I have to think of a way to say a word that expresses the same thing as a cuss word. So I don't know. But I wanted the people to really know how I really feel about them. I wanted them to really know what they're doing is just, I don't have the words for it. It's just, I don't have the words. See, I'd have to say a cuss word just to express what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling about that. So, anyways, but yeah, people don't have to be afraid to tell me, and I'm not taking them down because I'm afraid of what God will do to me, Um, a lot of people like to say, oh, they're gonna, God is gonna do this and this and that to that person because, of this and that. And that's not what I feel. That's not why I would take any of that down. I would look God in the face and see what He has to say about it. Which again, I understand what He has to say about some of it, the cussing and stuff like that through the scriptures. But I think God would understand partially that the reason that I did that is because these people out there are so toxic. That's a good word, toxic. There, I didn't cuss. They are so toxic, right? They're so childish. They're so unfair. These are good words. Good words, not cuss words. They are uh they are looking. They are looking for anything and anybody, and even deceptive. Deceptive is a good one, not a cuss word. They're very deceptive because their job, their mission, if you look on their channel, their entire mission is to make everyone that they're talking about look as bad as possible. As bad as possible. So, like I said, they'll record people, they'll edit, clip, cut, paste, talk over, voice over, stop the video, then keep the video going, put a picture up of you, let you say something, edit, clip, cut, right? And their whole goal is whether you're right on what you're saying or you're wrong, whatever, it doesn't matter. Their whole goal is to make you look as bad as possible. and that they are totally toxic. You go to their pages. Do I have to say the names again? You know, you go to their pages, and that's all they do. You have to know that something is wrong if that's all they have to offer. All they have to offer, Bruce Peterson, is toxic things about tearing everybody else down the best way that they can. It doesn't matter if somebody is a babe in Christ, they're going to make you try to tear you up. It doesn't matter if somebody doesn't have that as much discernment. They don't know who they are, right? They don't know your story. They don't know my story. They don't know anybody's story. They don't even care. They don't even take the time to think this person might just be a babe in Christ. Maybe they just don't understand. Or maybe they're going through a lot and their channel is all that they have, right? And so, or maybe their understanding isn't just, is just not that good, right? They don't take anything into account. All they do, their mission is to take whoever they want and just, if they think they have something wrong, they want to crucify him. They want to crucify him. Just like the Jews were looking for anything to get Jesus. Anything. They would question Jesus not because they really wanted an answer. They would question Jesus just to try to catch him. Just to try to get him. And that's exactly what Bruce Peterson does. That's exactly what Candance does. That's what Truth Speller does. That's what Destroying the Works of the Devil does. And I'm sure there's many others out there like them. They're sitting at home, recording, waiting, just waiting for you to say something that they disagree with or whatever. And they're going to take it and they're going to edit it and clip it and chop it and, cherry pick some verses and just try to make you look as bad as possible. These people are toxic. And they don't have to do that with my other videos when I was cussing. Because I said, you know what? A lot of people worry about this. I'm just going to do this so that they don't have to worry about trying to expose something about me. I'm going to put it all out there. So you want to record my cussing and put it out there? Good. I put it out there for the world to see. Whoa, right? So you don't have to worry about editing and cutting and pasting and clipping and nipping and cutting. Just record my cussing and say, look, he cusses. He's no good. That's what people love to do. And then I got a person, Steve Fletcher, who has kind of a lot of followers, been around for a long time. Everybody knows he's done many wrong dates, right? But the only reason I went after Steve Fletcher is because he went after me first in the comment section for no reason. Unprovoked, and he went after me. So I said, okay, you want to go after me? I'm going to go after you. And so I made a video about him. Could I have not done that? Probably. But I don't like being attacked, okay? Especially if I'm not guilty. So now I have Steve Fletcher lying about me. Lying. I mean, I don't know which one's worse. If you're just going to blatantly lie about somebody, or if you're just going to edit and clip and cut and paste and try to make them look bad. They're both kind of lying, right? So they're both in the same category, but Steve Fletcher's flat out lying about me. He put up a post about me saying that I said that I would shut my channel down if the Feast of Trumpets didn't, that the Rapture didn't come on the Feast of Trumpets on the Gregorian calendar, right? But I didn't say I would shut my channel down at all, first of all. But I'm being technical, so that's what he means, right? So I never said that. I never said I would shut my channel over anything. Okay? And if he thinks that because he saw somebody like my account say that, do you know how many false accounts are out there of me all of a sudden? All of a sudden, there's false accounts of me asking people for money, commenting in my video comment section. They use the same icon, the little icon, and they use almost the same name. Like I said, what they do is they put like New Moon Rapture with like 2 N's or like New Moon Rapture with 2 W's. And you can't even notice it at a quick glance. So maybe that's what happened with Steve. I don't know. I can't keep up with all the comments. There's hundreds of comments. Some of them are artificial intelligence. Some of them are agents just to get me upset and try to misguide people. Right? And then some are real. So I don't know if that's what happened with Steve Fletcher, if he saw a fake account answer for me. But the words never came out of my mouth, Steve Fletcher. You record. I challenge you. Record anywhere that I said that on a video on my channel, not on somebody else's channel. Make sure it's my channel. Show the words coming out of my mouth that I ever said I would shut my channel down at any point. Never said that. And I never texted that, never commented that. But again, the only possible thing is that maybe there was a fake account that commented that. And if you look at the account name, it's just like one little thing that's different. That's how they create the fake accounts that make it look like you at a quick glance. But it never came out of my mouth, Steve Fletcher. So I got Steve Fletcher lying about me now. And then it's funny because he says that I have demons because I believe in flat earth. And the funny thing is that he believes the lie. Flat earth is the truth. What he believes has created millions of atheists and agnostics. So he's the actual one that, if any demons were going to be let in from false cosmology, it would have been him. Would have been him that would have happened to. Am I saying that he has demons? No, I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that there is some rotten fruit there. And of course, he could say the same thing about me, which he did. Oh, look, he's cussing. Yeah, it's bad fruit. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You know, fine. Technically, yeah, it's not. I shouldn't have cussed, right? I did, and I'll probably take him down in a day or two. And I don't care if people record him, put him up, so what? I'm not worried about it. But as for the technicality of that, yeah, sure, I'll take him down for other people's sake. So, whatever. It doesn't matter. Look, if you do everything perfect, like I said, if you try to do everything perfect on your channel, the way you speak, the information you give, all that, it doesn't matter. There's people out there that will still attack you. It doesn't matter. So whether I have something wrong or right, or my attitude, or if I cussed, if I had none of that, if you have perfect information, if you have a perfect attitude, it doesn't matter. People are still going to attack you. People like Bruce Peterson, Candance, True Speller, Destroying the Works of the Devil, Steve Fletcher, they're still going to come after you. If they don't have anything on you, they'll lie about you. Steve Fletcher lying about me. Lying about me. And what did they do to Jesus? According to the Bible, Jesus never sinned once. And all they tried to do is come after him. Regardless if he was right or wrong, it didn't matter because in their hearts, they wanted to crucify him from the beginning. Am I Jesus? No, but it's a scenario that is similar, right? These patterns repeat themselves. Everything is the same. All these patterns repeat themselves. Why does God say the last days will be like the days of Noah and the days of Sodom and Gomorrah? Why? Because everything is the same in that sense. That the fallen nature of man is still the same. The evil people still do the same evil things, right? It doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. It doesn't matter if I have a nice attitude or a bad attitude. These people want to crucify you regardless. So I'm going to tell every watchman and watchwoman out there that is doing their best that I might not agree with you, but if you see videos pop up with these toxic people, don't think, oh, I got to end my channel. There's a woman on here, just popped into my mind. I actually enjoyed some of her videos. She put out one stellar video. And she's a pretty woman, you know, and I could tell that she's genuine. I'm not saying I agree with her on everything because she talked a lot about dreams and stuff like this. That's not my thing, but whatever, right? Whatever, it's not a big deal. But she put out one video that was stellar about the third temple, how it was not a third temple, all this stuff, right? Gave dates and times and historical evidence. Her channel is Grace Overflowing, right? And I used to like to watch her every now and then. But Candance, I believe, made a video about her too. And I think that Grace Overflowing shied away and doesn't make videos hardly at all. Never. I haven't seen her because of that. Because this little toxic monkey, Candance, made a video about her. And I don't even remember what the video was about her. But it was about how Grace was telling people to repent for a few years because the rapture's soon. So Candace was mocking her, saying, "Ha ha ha." She said the rapture was soon, in 2020 and 2021. And so I don't see Grace making any more videos, and that's sad to me. That's very sad because that is another believer that is giving it their best. Maybe they're not exact on everything that they say. Maybe you don't agree with everything they say, but that is another believer. And the little toxic monkey Candace, made this mean video about her, mocking her. And I don't see her around anymore. And I'm very sad because that one video that she put out on the temple and how all this is a strong delusion, I loved it. It was like an hour and a half. Stellar. She gave historical evidence, biblical evidence, as to show that if there is a third temple made, it is a strong delusion. Because, no. And I was like, this is a wonderful video. But then right after, little toxic monkey Candace, makes this video about her, and I don't see her anywhere anymore. It's very sad to me. It's very sad. Very sad. Because you can tell she's a good-hearted person. You can tell. And according to God's calendar, God's clock, even if you said the rapture was soon 5 years ago, according to God, it's soon. That means soon. 5 years is soon, very soon to God. A day is as 1,000 years to the Lord, and 1,000 years as a day to the Lord. So grace overflowing in God's eyes technically isn't that far off. 2,000 years ago, the Bible says that they were in the last days. 2,000 years ago in Peter. That these are the last days. So, it depends how we look at things, our perspective on things. You see, once you get a bird's eye view of the scriptures and you start seeing things more like God would see them, as far as time, then somebody 5 years saying the rapture is soon, according to God's eyes, they're correct. You're correct. The rapture was soon 5 years ago, according to the way that God sees time. So, the toxic monkey Candace is actually wrong in God's eyes. See, now to our perspective, 5 years is a long time. 5 times 365. Geez, that's, over 1,500 days. But according to God, that's just a little teeny tiny blip. Soon. Very, very soon. So again, perspective. Candace sees everything from a human, fleshly, carnal perspective. Just like Bruce Peterson, they're thinking carnally with their reptilian, toxic monkey minds. And they're not stepping back and thinking, hey, maybe I'm going to hurt this person and it's not necessary for me to speak like this about them because to ridicule them, that's what they're really trying to do. They're trying to break people down and ridicule because maybe they're just a babe in Christ. Maybe they're giving it their best. 1 Corinthians 13 says that today we know in part. Only in part. Today we prophesy in part. Only in part. Nobody has perfect knowledge today. Nobody has perfect prophesying today. Okay? And Paul says, do not despise prophecy. Prove all things. Hold on to that which is good. And we prophesy in part today. So what's Paul saying? He says, prophecies shall fail. Knowledge shall fail. But when that which is perfect comes, then that which is in part shall be done away with. Read your Bible, Bruce Peterson, Candace, reptilian toxic monkeys. Read it. God says you're going to fail, but you're going to be right sometimes too. Why? Because everything is in part today. Today we have to study. We have to study the Bible that we have. We have to study history. We have to study the sun, the moon, and the stars, like it says in Genesis chapter 1, to get our conclusions. And sometimes they're going to be wrong. Even 1 Corinthians 13 backs this up. Now, what people don't do is they don't rightly divide, and they go back to the Old Testament where God told prophets direct words where they didn't have to study anything. God didn't go to Jonah and he said, okay, Jonah, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. He didn't say that to Jonah. Jonah didn't have to sit around, after God talked to him and said, okay, God, I'm gonna look up historical evidence for this. Let's do some research on Nineveh. Right? Let me check the scriptures, even though I just had God directly tell me something. Let me study this out. No! That's not how prophecy worked in the Old Testament. You have to rightly divide the Bible today, understand that things are not working the same. That's it. So when you get something wrong, people want to put you under the Old Testament law and say you're supposed to be killed. Right? That's how it was done. And they call you a false prophet. Well, in the New Testament, it says that prophecies we see in part. We know in part. Prophecy shall fail. Knowledge shall fail. Paul says, but do not despise prophecy and prove all things. Hold on to that which is good. So everything that fails, let it all go. But what did you take from it that was good? What do you think I've done my whole journey here? I went through lordship salvation, free grace, Calvinism, dispensationalism, mid-acts dispensationalism. I even studied Judaism a little bit. And what? I'm out of all that. I never got fully into it, but I took what was good that I learned from it. I gleaned from it. I didn't sit there and spend my entire career exposing lordship salvation. No, there's a few things that you can learn that are good from that. Just like Calvinism, there's a few things I agree with. And all these things. You take what is good, because we all know in part, and you move on. Is it okay to point out the things you disagree with or you think is wrong? Sure. But you can't crucify a person for being wrong sometimes. Because we see in part, we know in part, we prophesy in part today. Nobody has the Jonah effect. It's like this guy Joshua. No, he's making up all these stories. Fantastical stories, right? You can learn the knowledge that he's said on the internet in less than a half an hour. You can learn about the Feast of Trumpets. You can learn about, what else did he talk about? I don't know. But he makes up these fantastical stories as if he is a Jonah, and he is not. He is a liar in that sense. Even though some of the information that he said is true. Anybody could learn that the Feast of Trumpets is the highest watch day for the rapture ever. Right? So yeah, Joshua is a liar, and he is deceptive. Because there is no Jonah prophets today, okay? There is no Noah prophets today. In the sense that God tells them exactly what he wants from them, and they do it. No, it's not happening today. 2 Timothy 2:15 says we all have to study. Study. Did Noah have to study in order to figure out, geez, I guess I better build a boat now? Good thing I studied it out, so I figured out, well, I have to build a boat now, and then at this time the world is going to flood. And no, did he have to study that out? No. Did he? No, it was different. Totally different. But Joshua was trying to convince people that he's a Noah, that he's a Jonah. No. He's a reptilian toxic monkey. Just like Candance, just like Bruce Peterson, just like Destroying the Works of the Devil and True Speller. That's what they are, okay? For different reasons, right? So, well, Joshua might seem like a very kind man. He's a liar. He's a straight up liar, okay? And for somebody to be a liar doesn't mean that all their information is exactly wrong. But the origin of his information, where he got it from, was not Jesus coming to him and eating Fruit Loops with him and then going on, to Magic Mountain in Disneyland. And then Jesus told him when the rapture is. That's not how he got that information. That's the part that he's lying about. Anybody can get that. Anybody. To get our revelation today, we have to study. And that's what Paul writes for this dispensation. 2 Timothy 2:15. I don't care what anybody says. So anyways, I said some things in this video. Didn't cuss even once. Right? And for the sake of others, in a day or two, I'll take my videos down for that are cussing. I know there's some people out there that are saying, oh, God's going to get him and all this nonsense. No, that's not why I'm taking them down, okay? I'm a saved, born again, bought by the blood of Christ believer that has given my life for what I do on the internet. So I don't believe that God would, destroy me if I left those videos up. But for the sake of others and for the sake of the scriptures, I'll take them down in a day or two. Because, cussing like that, I guess I could find better words like toxic reptilian monkeys. That's a great way. That's a great way to describe these people. So anyways, thank you guys all for listening. God bless you. Thank you all for the comments. I can't see the comments. I can't see very well, so, God bless.